and a special acknowledgement that we will never leave the side of our Somali Minnesotans. Our Somali Minnesotans, your great-grandchildren will still be here when that orange clown is in the dustbin of history.
We've all seen the Leering Center, right?
Correct.
The Leering Center is not an actual daycare.
No.
The Leering Center was fraud. Ilhan Omar married her brother, that these are deportable denaturalization offenses.
Yeah, so we actually think that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud. We'll go bankrupt and everything that makes America great will disappear if we allow fraudsters to steal the American dream from the next generation. What our new AAG Focus on Fraud has told me that right now we don't even prosecute fraud that's under $1.5 million, which means there's a lot of fraudsters who never get caught, who never get punished. We're changing that too. I think the plan is we got to start doing prosecutions as quickly as possible. These cases take a little while to build. You've got to investigate, you've got to gather evidence. But now that we have that guy set up, now that we have Colin McDonald set up, I think in a matter of months, we should be seeing a significant ramp up in the number of prosecutions that we're seeing.
So JD Vance said that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. And without saying it directly, he basically said that fraud in America was or is legal as long as you keep it below $1.5 million. And that with this new fraud task force, prosecutions are on the way. Let's talk about it. Good afternoon, beautiful people, and welcome to Nelly Miranda. As always, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. So Vice President JD Vance sat down with Benny Johnson and didn't hold back. He said that Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud, and he revealed that the White House is actively discussing how to investigate it and potentially prosecute her.
Ilhan Omar definitely committed immigration fraud against the United States of America. She has been at the center of a lot of the worst fraudsters in the Somalian community.
Yeah, she married her brother to get him in, which means they both should go back.
The allegation goes back years. The claim is that Ilhan Omar married a man in 2009, who many of her critics say was actually her brother, in order to help him obtain immigration benefits. These claims have circulated for years, and Ilhan Omar has repeatedly denied this and called it a conspiracy theory. But journalist Angela Rose recently made a video showing proof of these alleged immigration fraud claims. Watch.
The U.S. as a member of a family different from her birth family. What? What? Why would you comment that? I can't imagine having a child with somebody who would say something so stupid. That's Elmi himself holding a baby, Ilwad, fresh out of Omar's. Perhaps most significant is that Elmi refers to the newborn baby as his niece's. His niece would obviously be his sister's child. Ahmed Nur said Elmi, state of Minnesota. I, Ilhan Abdullah, are you really gonna love me forever? Like, where did she become Abdullah all of a sudden? That's what I'm saying. Like, the name stuff, it's a big mess. And it's how they get away with a lot of stuff. I am the petitioner in this action for dissolution of marriage. All right. Okay. So this is like their divorce, right? Ilhan Omar.
Yeah. So make of that what you will. But why now? Why are these allegations circling again in 2026? And at the same time, the administration is launching a massive anti-fraud crackdown, specifically targeting federal benefit programs. Well, that is because the fraud in Minnesota is through the roof. Majority of those involved are from the Somalian community. Ilhan Omar runs in the same circles as those convicted from the fraud. Feeding the Future fraud, autism fraud, daycare fraud, you name it. Those are the same people who are in her circles. So to merely think that she wasn't involved in the fraud when she became a millionaire overnight with an alleged fake winery and fake investment capital firm is just beyond stupid to think that she is innocent. We have to follow the money every time, and I suggest you also follow your own money closely, and that is why I want to tell you about CHAPTER. One of the things that I hear from elderly people that I know is the confusion around Medicare. This elderly woman in particular told me that she's been on the same plan for years and assumed that everything was fine until she started noticing her prescription costs going up and certain things just weren't covered anymore. And the truth is that this situation is more common than people realize. Millions of seniors are actually on the wrong Medicare plan, and don't even know it, simply because they enrolled once and never reviewed their options again. That is one of the reasons I partnered with Chapter, because Chapter connects you with a licensed Medicare advisor who can walk you through your situation and compare plans available in your area. The conversation is completely free. It takes about 20 minutes, and you are speaking to a real person with no pressure to sign up or anything. Their advisors advocate for you and not the insurance companies. On top of that, they compare every plan available nationwide to make sure that nothing gets overlooked. Historically, people who review their plans with Chapter save about $1,100 per year on average, which can add up to tens of thousands of dollars over time. So for complete Medicare guidance, you can dial 646-817-8160 to speak with my trusted partner, Chapter. Again, that is 646-817-8160, or go to askchapter.org/Nelly. Now let's get back to the story. So here's JD Vance with Benny Johnson suggesting that Ilhan Omar may have been connected or at least aware of the fraud happening in some parts of the Somalian American community. Take a listen.
Fraud has been laid bare. We've all seen the Leering Center, right?
Correct.
The Leering Center is not an actual daycare.
No.
The Leering Center was fraud, right? And we've seen the hospice fraud in California. So I think it's been demonstrated that this is a problem. What people need to see now is like arrests,
Yes,
right?
100%.
Deportations. They need to see that the federal government, the gears of justice grind against these people, and they're not allowed to just continue.
Yes. So let me give you an example, something I just talked about upstairs, but I think it's worth reiterating for your viewers. So you take a program that exists within Medicaid to help autistic children get the resources that they need. So you have a Somalian fraudster in suburban Minneapolis who says that they have 3 kids who are autistic, and maybe they don't even have 3 kids, and they certainly don't have 3 kids who are autistic. So it takes money away from the American citizens who need these services. It defrauds the taxpayer. And you're absolutely right that the thing that we need to do is get real justice. So, you know, something I learned just the past couple of months, I had no idea that we do not prosecute fraud in this country if it's under $1.5 million per year. Okay? So think about that. Think of all the people who are $1.5 million a year. This is not chump change. That is meaningful money. And by the way, sometimes by prosecuting the lower level people, you get to the higher level people who are collecting, you know, who have sort of the conspiracy to commit fraud against the American people. So one of the things that we're trying to do with this task force is commit the Department of Justice to investigating all fraud and actually going after the people who are doing it at the small scale of $1.4 million, but also actually looking at the big conspiracies that are out there. Because, Benny, I don't know about you, but I do not believe that what happened with the Somalian immigrant community in Minnesota, I don't think that happens without some cooperation from politicians, without other people looking the either way, or maybe even being in the fraud themselves.
The most frustrating thing about the brazen fraud happening in our country is that there's seldom any accountability. We've seen billions in fraud, weak oversight, and politicians who never seem to answer for anything. So when someone like JD Vance comes out and says, we're going to investigate this, a lot of people are thinking, finally. And I really hope they stay true to their word.
In Minnesota with the Somalian illegal immigrant community there. And you know what he said is a lot of people in my generation, Nick, I don't know exactly how old he is. He's probably 21, 22. He's like, they can't find a job making $60,000 a year, which is what they'd like to be able to, you know, buy a home and support a family. And meanwhile, they've got fraudsters. He's talking about his friends, not abstractions. His friends can't find that job, but they see people driving Mercedes making $1 million defrauding the American people. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think if we don't fix it, we are not going to have a country in 10 years.
What people are truly reacting to is not just Ilhan Omar. It is the idea that the system only enforces rules selectively. And Americans are asking, why is that? Why is that some people get investigated immediately and others, nothing happens for years, if at all? Aside from the alleged marriage fraud claims, Ilhan Omar's net worth skyrocketed overnight when she got into Congress, with no explanation of how, with finance and money people coming out and saying it's simply not possible. Ilhan Omar is still walking around freely and calling Americans stupid every day. Here's a refresher on her skyrocketing net worth.
They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The oversight chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband, Tim Minette, went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure forms. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most to hide.
In my opinion, if there is real evidence, investigate it, prosecuted, no exceptions. I do not care if it's Democrat, Republican, or independent. But also on that note, Nancy Mace did say there were some Republicans who were against holding Congresswoman Ilhan Omar responsible for any of her wrongdoings. So again, it looks like to me it may be another case of the system protecting its own. Take a listen.
Stand on the investigation into Ilhan Omar. Obviously, there's some, questions regarding her citizenship. She's been referred to the ethics committee. Can we trust the ethics committee to actually be ethical and do the right thing?
Well, what's happened so far? Like, really, I think the remark is always let the process play out, right? That's what they always say, and never happens. I tried to subpoena her immigration records, her husband's immigration records, and it was Republicans that killed my motion.
Yeah, and what's going on with that? Do you have any more insight you can share on that front?
As far as I know, nothing's going on, and nothing will go on. And that's Congress for you, because both sides protect the other.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. Do you think this is a legitimate investigation? Do you think anything will come of this? Let me know in the comments. And by the way, thanks for supporting my show. And if you'd like to support me further, you can go to my website and order some merch. The designs are clean, simple, and intentional. And if you want to wear something that says, "Where's the oversight?" please go to nellymiranda.com and order some merch. And if you got any value from this video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And ring the bell so you don't miss any future updates. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.